Good afternoon, Flexi fam. I am Mary, the founder of the FlexiFit Menstrual Cup, and I'm on a mission to empower you to be free and fierce in your lives, period. Now, today I have a fabulous guest for us. So, he is a personal trainer, a human and sports performance coach, and a nutrition coach. He helps people maximize longevity through blending effective sports and human performance training. Now, the really juicy bit for us is that he empowers females from 18 to 45 to take control of their menstrual cycle, combat polycystic ovary syndrome, and strengthen their bodies, both physically and mentally. Welcome, Jermeel. So good. Yes, I'm excited. This conversation is going to be awesome.
Hi.
I feel like I've got all this energy. I'm so excited. Now, I've seen videos that you've put up on your Instagram. We've had a chat before, and I am just so excited to get into this conversation about how women can learn about their own bodies. We're not taught about it in school. Our mums and aunts and sisters haven't been taught, so no one knows to pass this information on. So now we're coming to you as the expert to have a deep dive to get this understanding.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, that's I'm an expert. I just know a bit about it.
Well, I'm labeling you the expert. You're my expert. So why is it really important for women to understand their menstrual cycle, especially like when it comes to training, like physically training? So obviously I listed out these amazing things: personal trainer, human and sports performance coach, and nutritionist. So how does a woman's menstrual cycle, like the understanding of it, how does it fit into all of those things?
Well, it affects how they perform in life. So if they play sport or just a general life performance, going to work with the family, it affects so much things. So it's understanding what's the best time to do certain things in the month. Again, every female is different, so usually if it's a part of the month where they should take it easy, maybe some females can push it a little bit more and some can't. But it's knowing your body and understanding your cycle to know if you're the person that can push it or just bring it back a little bit, and then also knowing it can help you improve your results a lot faster as well.
Okay. So there are times of the month when we're our performance we need to reduce it, but then there's other points of the month that actually we can accelerate our progress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. Right. So
Simple terms.
go on, did you say?
No, I said, yeah, for simple terms, yeah, there's time when you can increase performance and times where you can kind of just settle it down a little bit.
Okay, cool. So can we deep dive into some of the, like, you sort of said that's an overview of how to put it. So what is it? What kind of cycles are there? What kind of times of the month as women do we need to look out for?
A deep dive. Okay, let's go into a deep dive. You have two main cycles. So you have your follicular phase and your luteal phase, and then in between that you have ovulation. So basically, it depends on the female. Some they usually take 28 days, but that's just because it's once a month. But not every female has a once month cycle. Some maybe 20 every 21 days, up to some can be 36 days. So some females don't even have it once a month. They may actually just miss a month. But usually it will be you have your follicular phase, which is the first 7 days is your bleeding phase. So you have your bleed phase, and then usually that you would have a bit more. What the words am I thinking of? Anti-inflammatory diet, because you have a bit more inflammation in that phase. So looking at diet, then have a bit more anti-inflammatory nutrition on that phase. You have to there, so the 7 days, and then that will lead you into the second week of the follicular phase, which is usually for most is the best time for them to do their training. So the follicular phase is usually the best time for females to do the weight training. And after the bleeding phase, the second 7 days, towards the end of that is the 13th day, going to ovulation. That's usually when your testosterone is a lot higher. So a lot of females will see their personal best in lifts at this time in the gym. So the first 2 weeks are important. So then you can utilize having a higher nutrition intake because you're trying to break down muscle and get stronger. So you can work on having a high nutrition intake, maybe have a bit more carbs around this time. So you can, as towards the end of the 14 days, where your testosterone gets higher, usually most females have their best list at that time. And then you have day 14 where you ovulate. So you ovulate, and then that happens, and then after that, your testosterone just it goes down, progesterone and estrogen goes up, so your estrogen levels go down. And then also in the first phase, when the estrogen levels are higher, ladies are able to recover a lot more quicker than guys. So they can recover a lot more quicker, so they can put more sets in, put more reps in, and they can recover a lot quicker. And then after the day 14, when estrogen drops down and progesterone comes up, that's when things will change. That's when they'll start seeing, having a bit more mood changes. Everyone has different symptoms for females, so knowing your symptoms, you'll realize that. And so that time happens, but within that time, you're more catabolic. So catabolic just means you break down muscle more. So then in that phase, if you're breaking down muscle more, and then you're going to the gym to break down muscle more, you're breaking a lot more muscle down. So during this phase, you should increase your protein. Your protein intake will need to be increased a lot more, and also you burn more calories naturally as well in phase two. So you burn about 100 to 300 more calories. So therefore, you can eat the same amount and eat a little bit more, but still be at the same weight. So you won't gain any weight because you're burning more calories in this phase. So then that's where it's really important to work on nutrition in this phase. And a lot of females in this phase is where you might do more conditioning, maybe a little bit of hit, but more conditioning, because most females, they're more susceptible to dislocating joints because they're more supple, more loose. But this is usually the phase where they'll tone it down from weight training. They may do some more yoga, Pilates, a bit of conditioning, but usually not every single one will go heavy in the weights because you're more likely to dislocate any joints and hurt yourself. So that's where I'll settle it down. I'll do a bit of conditioning. Again, everything is different. Some they may be alright to go through it, but usually it's okay. The second phase is where okay, we kind of relax and we do the more conditioning, the yoga, the Pilates kind of exercises, or if you're going to do weights, just use the machines. The machines, or you're set in place. So use the machines, and yeah, the nutrition again is going to be really important. And looking at high fiber, probably drop down the carbs. So drop down the carbs, have more fats, a high fiber nutrition, and anti-inflammatory. So stuff like the fruits, the berries, cherries, they're really good for anti-inflammatory stuff. But this is where you get a lot more information in these 2 weeks. These 2 weeks is where you go to the first week, then the second week is where you have your PMS. So a lot of ladies have the PMS symptoms before they get back into the menstrual cycle. So the nutrition here will be important. A lot of foods that will help with inflammation will help with this phase. But yeah, that's just like a overview of the two phases.
Yes, I love that. Oh my goodness. And so I think it's interesting how our performance as a woman throughout the week, if we want to be training, can be different. So actually the calendar that we have, rather than just say, oh, I'm gonna like gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on Saturday I'm gonna go for a run with my girlfriends, that might not be great week in, week out. That actually there could be a monthly cycle, like you've explained. So weight training when we've got like our high testosterone levels, and then as it all dips again, then it's like, okay, conditioning, now I want to do some yoga. So I think that's really interesting, and I've never approached my training that way, and I don't think there are very many women that do. So I think that's crazy interesting. So you think if you were going to say for training, is that how you would do it? So weights in the first cycle, yoga, maybe running, something like that in the second?
Yeah. So again, depending on the female, just always seeing how each female what's the word, reacts, how they react to the menstrual cycle. But usually, yeah, the first 2 weeks is where you can push it again because they are more likely to recover quicker because of the estrogen, so they can recover a lot quicker. So you can kind of push it in the first 2 weeks. The second 2 weeks, you can just turn it down again. If you want to carry on with weights, you still, I'm not saying you can't. You've got to stop doing the weight training. Like maybe go a little bit lighter, or then you just use machines. Again, this phase is usually seen where you have to just set down a little bit again because you're more likely to dislocate joints and that And then so that's where what you're doing. But again, it does always depend on the female because especially if you go to start if you're a female that plays sports, or not every girl that plays sports that is in the team they're not gonna have the same cycle every day. So you'll have if you play football, you'll have maybe five that might maybe in week one, then three that's in week two. You might have four that's in week three, then two that's in week four. So they're all being completely different cycles. So it's just knowing how to manage that together. So yeah, and it's just there's little tweaks that you can do. But yeah, usually it'll be most people say it's okay, push yourself in the first 2 weeks and then just keep it light in the second two.
Okay, cool. And the other thing that you said was important was nutrition. So like knowing knowing where we are in our cycles to what we need to feed our bodies. And whenever I've spoken to women before, it's all about, oh, I've got this craving or that craving. So but actually what you were speaking about was, okay, so in that first phase you want to be looking at anti-inflammatory foods, and then in the second phase it's more about protein for was it muscle repair, I think that you said?
Yeah, so the first phase, well, what do you call it? The first 7 days, that's when the bleed phase. So then you may look at some people's inflammation, so just anti-inflammatory foods. And then after that, you can kind of not say have what you want, but you can utilize carbs a lot more. But again, because recovery is a lot quicker, so utilizing the carbs, having the protein. But the second phase is when you're more catabolic. So yeah, you break down muscle naturally just without going to the gym. You break it down a lot more. But then if you are going to go to the gym, you're going to break it down a lot more on top of that. So then so you definitely need to focus on having a higher protein intake. And this is where you can drop your carbs, and then that's where you have the cravings. So if you are craving, have something like fruit, like an apple, and that can curb the cravings of whatever you're having. You said nothing wrong with having like a snack or something that you enjoy, but if you want to like not say if you know I'm gonna eat, if I eat 2 packets of sweets, I'm gonna eat a whole packet of sweets. Okay, then you have an apple which can stop the craving. So and that's it. And then again looking a lot more into high fiber foods around that phase as well, more high fiber foods, and then anti-inflammatory again. You will have a lot more information in these 2 weeks.
Amazing. So can I ask a question? Why does our body break down the muscle in those final 2 weeks? What's going on? Why is our
The
body?
hormones.
Yeah.
You use estrogen and progesterone ramps up, and that's the hormone that breaks down a lot more muscle. So that's the issue. It's to do with your hormones. So estrogen drops down, progesterone and estrogen, I can't pronounce it properly, estrogen, they go up. So then and progesterone is the hormone that will help break down a lot more muscle. Because that's higher in that phase. That's why you break down muscle a lot more.
Okay, cool. So that's basically just a symptom of the change in our hormones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, got it. So one of the things that I know that women out there are probably going, okay, so I've not really thought about this before and I'm liking it. So is this something that I should be really talking to my PT about? What are you going to say to that?
I would say yeah. Me and my client talk about it, but then it's having that conversation. It's being if the PT open to having that conversation. Are you open to the conversation? It's something that should be talked about because it will make for a better training program and a training plan. So if you know that if your personal trainer knows your menstrual cycle, and and it's easier to plan around your menstrual cycle, and then so that makes it feel better. But then a lot of people are not comfortable talking about it. But I thought every PT should know about it because usually more females have personal trainers than males. Like males have PTs, but I've seen there's a lot more females that have personal trainers, so therefore you can't treat them like a guy. Their hormones play a massive part in how they live their life. So you have to know their cycle to know what's going on with them, and then also you have to know how the outside factors because their sleep, whatever stress it is, uh, everything will contribute to their hormones. So if you've been stressed for a while, that's the same as too much stress, less sleep, your hormones will affect your next cycle, whatever you're going through now, it will affect the next cycle. So then you might not even get your next period, and for whatever it is, maybe because you're stressed for the last month. So that you have to kind of look at that and plan how to do a session and do the plan. The female physiology will have a big impact. So like if I know my client is if I know my client's on week 2, then I know, okay, we can push it a bit more today. We can, and then I know she can cover quite well because of the estrogen. Okay, we can drive a little bit more, go a bit heavier on the weights. This usually she may lift a heavier weight than normal at this phase, so we can push a bit more. And then if I know, okay, she's on her PMS week, okay, cool. Then I already know, okay, just have to take it a bit easy. We may do a bit of stretching, a bit of mobility, or a bit of conditioning, so I know how to take it from there. But it's knowing the cycle and how to plan for it, because if you don't know the cycle, and say your client is someone that's very susceptible to skin injuries, and then it's week 3, week 4, and you go, okay, we're gonna lift heavy today, and then she injures herself, and then it's like, why did you injure yourself? But you don't know that this time of her cycle she's more likely to hurt herself, and that's just kind of bad on the PT. So if you can talk to your PT about it, you should do it. It's very important to do it, just because you know how to then know how the sessions can go and how to plan a program. So because it all play, and I keep going on and on, but it all plays a part. So so discussing the stress and your symptoms and what you're going through is all going to have an impact on your cycle, and then that's going to have impact on your training.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is invaluable knowledge. And I feel like all of us now should be speaking to our PT saying, hey, I'm on my period. And I've heard that this can affect my training and how I recover and injuries. So can we work that into my plan? And now I think that you and I, like we've had conversations before and from today, we're really open. We don't think that talking periods is anything other than just a normal conversation. And out in the big wide world, some people find it really difficult.
Yeah.
So say that I was a woman and I was a bit nervous to say to my PT who was a male, oh, I'm on my period. Is there anything that I could say to them to sort of lead in to make it not so awkward for me and not so awkward for them?
I didn't think about this one actually.
Put the spot now, haven't I?
You would say, so I think you just have to be open. Can we discuss the menstrual cycle? Can we discuss the symptoms, how I feel at certain points, and then I think this may be able to help with the training. But then you say hope more. Then depends. Hopefully the PT is up for it, because some might be like why or whatever. But yeah, if you wanted to sort of say, can we discuss my menstrual cycle, because I think that may be having an effect on how I'm training and things like that. But yeah, it's not the easiest thing to have a conversation. But if you feel comfortable with your PT, whoever they are, then they should be fine with having a conversation. They should be fine with having it, because that's what a PT is about. It's about having a conversation. So if you should be comfortable enough to have that conversation with your PT, because they kind of know quite a bit about each other, because it depends how often you train with each other, and you'll get to know each other quite a bit. So you should be comfortable enough with your PT to do it. You should do it from the start anyway, even from day one, before you even start training together. But if you haven't done it, then it should be something to bring up and just talk. Some guys are put off by period. When you hear periods, like then maybe if you use the menstrual cycle, it might sound a bit more easier for them to digest.
Yeah, a bit more professional. I love the face that you made as well. Boys hear the word period like, ugh. Right? I think that's like, it can be. I feel like society's got it set up that a period is something yucky. Like we're all like, oh, okay, let's not talk about it. But like you said, it sounds like it's something really important that we should be talking to our PTs about. So let's say then that a woman is listening and she doesn't have a PT, but she trains herself. So what could she do? Is there anything that she can listen to either for her cycle or to know what to do at different points in the month for her training. Because like I said, mine is always, I have a weekly plan and I just follow that weekly and do that every week. But from listening to you, I think, oh, maybe I should be having different weeks of the month slightly different because of my cycle. So is there any advice that you'd give to women who train themselves?
Or have it, get an app, yeah, like period tracker app. So most will have it. So something like Clue, like something like Clue, to, just to track their period and see how they're feeling, and that can help them decide on how they're training. If they haven't used the app before, yeah, do if you're training by yourself, I say the app is the best way, just because you can track your cycle, and if it has like symptoms where you can decide the symptoms that you have, then you can kind of figure out where you are in your cycle and how to and then how to train. But also, like I said, females, you kind of they know their body, so they usually know when they feel a bit a bit weak or the symptoms, so they're okay. Maybe I'll take it easy on this day, and then they'll also know. Okay, I don't I feel good where you can push it. But I say the easiest way to start off is looking at an app, just to track your cycle, and then so you know, okay, yeah, this time I'm not feeling that great, so I'll take it easy. Because going by yourself, if you haven't got PT and going by yourself, it'll just be looking up things online, and then just but the app, and writing down. If you don't use that, you can write down how you're feeling, so the symptoms that you're having. If you know I'm feeling a bit more craving, because I think, because when you have ovulation, your body, I'm gonna get this wrong, I'm gonna get this right. Your body heats up after ovulation. One or two. So that's when you can tell you're coming into week two, because when the egg releases, your body heats up. So you can actually, what's the word? You can get a thermometer to check it.
Yeah.
So you can do it every morning and check it, and after ovulation you can tell, okay, I've ovulated, so I'm coming into week two. So you might decide to take it easy for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, that's the best way that I can say it. Get an app, write down symptoms, and then just go from there. Because it's, you don't want to be guessing. You don't want to play like a guessing game. Oh, am I in this week? Am I coming? But as long as you know your period is kind of consistent, roughly enough, like there might be 1 or 2 days difference, but okay, this is my period week, so I can plan for the next month how my training is gonna look.
Mm. Amazing. And I love one of the things that you said was about that symptoms can be linked to that hormonal change and to where we are in our cycle. Because I know actually there are days when I think, oh, I feel really weak. And actually, it's not anything to do with me per se. It could just be my hormones. And maybe for women who aren't tracking their cycle, you may start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't you go as hard today? Really like not be great and kind with yourself. And actually, there's a real physiological reason why you can't push as hard today as you could maybe that time last week. So I love that, because I'm all about, with women, like just having us be free and fierce no matter what day of the month it is. And if we can understand and have this knowledge, then we're just empowered in where we are in whatever day of our cycle it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why it's trying to teach sorry, it's not in my eye. It's trying to teach females not to fight their physiology. So that's what a lot of females do. They try to fight it, and then they try to what's the word? Uh, there's a word I'm looking for. I'm bugging now. They try to fight it, and they try to like, oh, and I can't think of the word, but they're like, okay, I feel this way, that's fine, and it's gonna happen, and they kind of accept it. Whereas they shouldn't accept how they're gonna feel, because they can actually improve their PMS. For a easier terms, they can improve it and have a better menstrual cycle. Not try to fight it, and they don't try to deal with it and try to work with it. Where you can have less symptoms, have a better menstrual cycle overall. So that's what I find a lot of females don't do. They try to find a physiology, and they just accept that they're gonna feel like this. Ah, I'm gonna feel like this, so I accept it already. It's not. But it's like no, you don't have to. You don't have to feel like that. You can actually improve your menstrual cycle by knowing how to incorporate the training and the nutrition and everything together, where your symptoms can be less. Some everyone have different symptoms, but you can improve your symptoms by knowing how to work with your menstrual cycle instead of trying to fight it and just accept that you're going to feel a certain way.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. We shouldn't be fighting against our bodies. And it should be, so I get what you're saying, because what it is, it's a level of acceptance that we're just gonna
Mm.
change rather than just being like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. Resign,
Yeah,
like, oh well, it's just this time of the month, I'm gonna be this way. Actually, no, be like, this is my physiology, I accept it, I understand it, and I'm gonna be fierce anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and that's what they should do, but it's getting them to learn that and understand that because yeah, they don't get taught that from any age really. So
Yeah.
and it's helping because I remember, I remember I put a study on a study that PMS might not exist. So I put a study on, and the amount of messages that like, oh, this is rubbish, this is rubbish, this is like the amount of stuff. I was like, whoa, just like, but then it's like female or some females therapists. It's like it start, things like that get ingrained in them from a young age.
Mhm.
That this is going to happen to you. This is going to be like this. The menstrual cycle is going to be like this, and it's like that's it. That's just how it's going to be, and it's just like no, it doesn't have to actually be like that. Especially with the PMS stuff, there are females have certain symptoms, but I saw a lot of it is to do with social cultural they call it.
Conditioning, social
I can't remember.
conditioning.
No, it was yeah that and
Oh,
psychosocial,
good.
where it's a lot of it may just be who you have around you for why you feel like that at the time of the month. So a lot of it, yeah, females have symptoms, but a lot of it may be down to cultural factors and the people that they have around them for why they get that a certain way at the week before their period actually starts. So it might just be stuck down to okay, my PMS is down to these symptoms. A lot of it could be the people that you have around you. Just they did a study and it was like 10% of females have felt PMS in France, and like 95% felt PMS in like Iran, and it's all different cultures have different amounts of feeling towards PMS. So not every female has PMS, but that is another uh kind of black hole to go down because when I posted it, they got very angry. So, but then I saw that that is kind of something that you can see it's been ingrained into
Mm.
people. And not say that they don't have symptoms. Yeah, they don't, some will have symptoms, but a lot of it may just be actually social social things why they feel like
Mm. Yeah, and like, look, to me, this conversation that we're having, I think is so important because exactly as you just said, we don't get taught this as women. No one told us at school, oh, you're going to have your period. This is the cycle that it's going to go down to. No, it's you. You're our expert. You're telling us. Like we're learning from you, and because it's not taught at school, our mums don't know to tell us, our aunts don't know to tell us, our sisters don't know to tell us. We are without this knowledge at the moment, and it's people like you who are doing like awesome work in saying, hey ladies, track your cycle, know what's going on, because you can be fierce every single day of the month. Just because you
that.
think, oh, I'm going to get in my PMS now, it means I'm going to be a certain way. And I know, like, that's the things we get told, right? Even in mainstream media, it's like, oh, a woman's on her period, bar of chocolate in one hand, and then like a heat pad in another. Go
Yeah,
to bed for a week. And it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. So I appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge with us. And I'd love to ask a cheeky question, right? So how did you get into learning and wanting to empower women in their menstrual cycle?
I have no clue. I really don't have any clue. I remember I was a lot before. I was like I don't know how it came. How I really can't remember how it actually came about, but I don't know why it came about. No, I think it was actually when I was working at a gym, and this was only like in the like maybe a year ago, and then yeah, maybe less than a year ago, and then I think my manager was asking to can we do some presentations. I think that's when it was. He's like, can we do some presentations and stuff? And I just didn't know what to do. And then I decided, oh, let me do something called females. I just it was just out of the blue, and then I did it on the menstrual cycle and females with menopause. So I did it on that, and that's where it came from. And that was like, what month was that? That was probably about October. Only October. It's only been a couple of months. So it's been like October, and yeah, about October, and that's like then yeah. From there, I don't know. I just got into it, kind of fell into it, and then I listened to some podcasts with ladies that talked about it for sports females. But yeah, I think that was it. It was when my manager asked me to do a presentation or something. I was just deciding what should I do on. I don't know why it came to my head. I decided to do the female health, and it came to the menstrual cycle and menopause, and then that was it. And that would have been in October. So it's not like I haven't been doing it for years, but I've kind of delved into it in the short space of time, and it is interesting. It's damn hard work. It's hard work. It's a lot more work than you can expect, but it's fine though. It's something. It's different. It is very different, and it's just very interesting. So yeah, that's how I got into it. So I kind of fell into it. Like I fall into most things. It's random how I get into it, and now people know me as the menstrual cycle. I don't know, coach. I don't know what to call myself. But, yeah,
Oh, you need a much snappier name than that.
I, I don't know what to call myself. Yeah, but that's what now a lot of people know me as that, and and that only came through. I don't know how that came. Just yeah, I don't know. It's I find it weird. No, it's not weird. I just find it very. I don't know. It's strange. Oh, he's the guy that knows the motorcycle. It's like, yeah.
He is the expert. That is who you are. You are now going to be the expert. And I'm like so passionate about it. I think it's amazing because, like I said, no one's there telling women this. So that's why now you're the expert. You're helping us to transform our lives and empower us to really, like you say, accept like our physiology, work with it, and then just achieve all of our goals and live an epic life.
Yeah.
Just from
Yeah.
one little decision. Yes. Okay, so I've loved chatting to you, and I want to know more, learn more. So I'm gonna be like constantly picking your brains now. I think you're not gonna be able to get rid of me. Um, so in the meantime, if the ladies watching want to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
Well, they can. I follow me on Instagram. I have actually a female health questionnaire on my Instagram, so you can click the link and then you can fill that out. If you want to fill out, there's a female health questionnaire on PCOS and the menstrual cycle. But yeah, they can go to my Instagram. They can DM me. On the link, it has my website and my YouTube and a bunch of stuff. So, but yeah, so the easiest way right now is Instagram because it has all my links on there, and yeah, and I have a health questionnaire.
Amazing, awesome. And you were also on Clubhouse, another Clubhouse addict.
I
And
think
I've
you
heard you
mentioned
making
that.
appearance, and like you're awesome, just as awesome as you've been here. So if you too are a Clubhouse addict, then yeah, you want to hit Jamal up. Yes.
That's why I'm trying to not mention it. So I'm not trying to be an addict.
Honestly, there's going to be support groups for this and everything in the future. I'm telling you.
There probably will be.
All right, thank you for hanging out with us and for empowering us in understanding our physiology and how we can use that to accelerate our training. Thank you so much.
That's right.